One of the biggest mistakes people make when finding a viral niche is copying it directly. Same style, same format, same everything. And yes, this can work, but there's a smarter way to do this. Take a niche that's already proven to go viral, but make it better using AI. Then what you end up with is 100% original content in a viral framework. That way your video is still built on a framework that the algorithm already knows how to push. So in this video, I'm showing you exactly how I would go about doing that. How to take an already viral niche and turn it into something that's 100% original and post something that performs like a proven format, but looks nothing like what anything else anyone's making. Alright guys, so this account right here is an example of something where you would find what a proven viral niche is. Obviously, this account posts a bunch of slop. As you can see, a lot of these videos are completely different and they don't relate to each other, but he has some outliers here, like 1.2 million views. But other than that, this is why you want to stick to one niche in general, because when you just slop post a bunch of different topics about different things, TikTok can't really understand what or who your video is actually made for, so they won't be able to push it to the right audience. It's actually going to give you the metrics you need to get your video pushed out. But this video right here has around 1 million views, was posted 2 days ago on the account, so you can see that this is actually a video that's doing well in this real time, which means that if you posted a similar video in the same niche with the same type of script format and copied everything you would actually need in order to make that video viral in the same kind of niche as this video, which we'll watch it here in a second, then you would most likely go viral as well, because this is clearly a proven niche that's working right now. Because even on some of the sloppiest accounts, you can still get a viral video if the content is good enough and hits the right audience. It will just be way easier for you to consistently hit the right audience if you're only posting in one specific niche rather than what this account is doing, which every little video is basically different about a different thing. So let's just take a look at this video real quick.
Called a sourdough starter, and it's made by mixing flour and water until the wild yeast inside starts to feed on the air, creating a living organism. And even though it just looks like a lump of paste, the yeast inside is constantly feeding on the flour and releasing gas, which makes the whole jar bubble and grow on its own, until it's powerful enough to raise an entire loaf of bread that will eventually feed you.
As you can see, this video is basically just a faceless news slash faceless fact video with b-roll of what they're talking about as the videos. Obviously, this did really well simply because the videos are satisfying. A lot of people don't even know what this is at the very start, and when it starts moving around, that's just a really good eye-catching hook overall, which gets a lot of the people that come on this video to stay on the video for at least 5 seconds. Not only does that help with the watch time, but if we look at these comments over here, I guess there's a phobia for like seeing satisfying looking, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but you guys know what I mean. I guess it's like triphobia or something. Tripophobia, I'm not really sure. But long story short, making the hook engaging and enticing to the viewers that actually catches their attention is not only going to help with your watch time, but it's also going to help with your engagement. And getting comments on your video is pretty essential when it comes to actually showing TikTok that people relate, that people overall are chatting about the video, which shows that it's actually an interesting topic to TikTok. But when it comes to actually being able to make money with TikTok, you can't just get clips like this that are on other platforms and use it in your own video and expect it to be original content. That's just not how it works. But what you can do is use AI to make new clips that are 100% original that look like the output that you want, like this. That way you can actually monetize off the content, because you're not going to be able to get paid off of unoriginal content. And on top of that, we're going to be using an 11 Labs voiceover, which is a completely AI voiceover, and we're just going to use the same exact script. So the first thing I'm going to do is get this video so I can get the transcript from it. Now we're just going to bring that exact transcript into 11 Labs, and you can really use any voice for this. You can even use your own voice, which can also help making it 100% original, but an AI voiceover is going to be original as well. So let's go ahead and generate this script. And now, as you can see, I'll play it real quick. We have our completely AI voiceover, which makes this 100% monetizable. But even if you use an AI voiceover and still use clips that you found on other platforms that aren't your AI generated clips or your real filmed clips, that will be unoriginal, because you're still having to use somebody else's content to make your own content.
This jar is alive, and if you stop feeding it, it will die. It's called a sourdough starter, and it's made by mixing flour and water until the wild yeast inside starts to feed on the air.
So yeah, now we're going to download this, bring it into CapCut. All right guys, now it's the fun part. Time to generate our clips to put over the voiceover that is now in CapCut. And there's a few more things we're going to have to do on top of that with the effects and the audio gaps in the voiceover and everything like that. But first, we need to actually get the clips that we want from that video, but we can't just take these clips exactly. So what we're going to do is use Gemini to give us prompts, to use those prompts to generate the clips with AI. I know it might sound confusing a little bit right now, especially if you're brand new to this type of stuff, but trust me, it's simpler than it sounds. You guys can go ahead and screenshot this and use this prompt for yourself, but this is the prompt we're going to be using to actually replicate the clips from this video while having them be 100% original. So we're going to go ahead and give Gemini that. And I know you're probably wondering, well, 16 image prompts and 16 video prompts seems like a lot of scenes for like a 30-second clip. And yes, the goal is not to use all 16. The goal is just to generate more clips than you'll need. That way you can pick and choose the best ones, because if you just be scarce with it and generate like 4 or 5, the amount that you're going to exactly need. You're kind of pick and choosing a bunch of different clips that don't really fit right in the exact part of the video, and you'll likely have to go back and generate more clips to fill in better spots. So now that we have our prompts that we're going to be copy and pasting into Nano Banana Pro and Kling 2.6 to get our clips, it's literally as self-explanatory as that. I'm just going to be copy and pasting each Nano Banana prompt into Nano Banana and each Kling 2.6 prompt into Kling 2.6 with that dedicated image for that scene. All right, now as you can see, these are what some of your clips should be looking like when you use that exact prompt framework to copy whatever type of clip that you want to copy. Obviously, we have like the sourdough bread stuff that's very, very up close. We got some like this of them actually like mushing it around, whatever they were doing there. More like this, just casual B-roll. And no, we do not need sound effects in our video because the voiceover is going to be the only sound in the video. And then we can also add a background sound inside of TikTok if you wanted to go the extra mile. But if you really wanted to actually go the extra mile, you could just download sound effects from YouTube and add like better ones under your video. But if you really wanted to add sound effects, it's okay to add sound effects in your video. You would just have to turn that on when generating the clips. The only thing is that your voiceover will be the main thing that the viewers are listening to, not really the sound effects. So that's always a good thing to keep in mind as well. Because sometimes sound effects can just throw off your voiceover and make it more confusing or not as easy to understand as it would be without the sound effects. But this is another clip we got, pretty satisfying here as well. So we're gonna go ahead and download these clips and put it over our voiceover and then just sort of fit them around where they wanna go best. But yeah, once again, just to get the point across, the reason that we're making AI generated clips is because it's fully original. That way we can actually monetize off the content. I'm sure you're watching this video because you wanna learn how to make money with TikTok. You cannot make money by posting streamer clips unless you're like doing clipping for content rewards. That will not work inside of TikTok's creator rewards program, which is actually where you get paid for posting content that's over a minute long after you join the program. And in order to actually monetize off of that program, you have to have your own original content, which is why we're using AI to generate our clips. All right, so I just brought in 6 of the best clips that we generated out of the full 19 because we're obviously, like I already mentioned, not gonna need to use the full 19 clips. But the first thing you're gonna wanna do is obviously turn your voiceover volume up to around 8. But even more importantly, we want to be getting rid of all the audio gaps down here. All of these gaps in the audio, you do not want that because that's basically like your video pausing mid-video. You need to have constant action in your video, constant eye-catching visuals, constant sentences flowing. Like you can't just have gaps like an actual sentence would have. You need your content to be as fast-paced as possible because that's actually how you're gonna retain people to watch through most of your video. I mean, think about it from your perspective. If you're watching a video on your For You page and it literally has like 3-second to 2-second gaps in between every single sentence, you're gonna get bored. Just be real with yourself. You're gonna get bored and swipe to the next video. These are the things that you should be constantly aware of and constantly thinking of even when you're scrolling on the platform. Like scroll with intention. If you see a video and you catch yourself watching it for 45, 50 seconds, rewind real quick and see what actually made you stay on this video and why did you stay watching the video. Because once you can start to understand your own psychology of why you stayed on a video, it makes it really easy for you to understand what will make other people stay on a specific video. So all I do to get rid of these audio gaps is kind of just overlay them like this. I just put a split right there and overlay it. This is how I find it the easiest way to do it. There's a few other ways you can do it, but this is the easiest for me. So I'm gonna just continue to do so and boom, we're done. Takes you like 20 seconds. And now we're just gonna start adding these clips where we want them to go that obviously relate to the script. We wanna have our first clip, the most eye-catching one. What you can also do to make your clips more visually engaging is just speed them up. Like take a look at this first clip for a second when it's at normal speed.
This jar is alive, and if you stop feeding it, it will die.
Now after we speed it up 2x, look at it now.
This jar is alive.
I'd say we wanna go more 2.5x too, so let's see how this one looks.
This jar is alive.
Way better. So now after cutting up these 6 clips and adding them where I think they would go best and speeding them up and doing what I need to do to ultimately make the video as watchable and entertaining as possible, I'm gonna play this for you guys real quick, but obviously what we still need to do is add our auto captions. And then there's a few sound effects that I'm gonna go over that make your video slightly more satisfying for the viewers to watch.
This jar is alive, and if you stop feeding it, it will die. It's called a sourdough starter, and it's made by mixing flour and water until the wild yeast inside starts to feed on the air, creating a living organism. And even though it just looks like a lump of paste, the yeast inside is constantly feeding on the flour and releasing gas, which makes the whole jar bubble and grow on its own until it's powerful enough to raise an entire loaf of bread that will eventually feed you.
All right, so what I've added here into our audio section is the background sound we're gonna be using along with a riser sound effect. This is not everything, but let's go ahead and add the riser sound effect first. You guys will see what this sounds like. Many of you guys are already familiar with it, but it just adds more suspense to your hook.
This jar is alive, and if you stop feeding it, it will die. It's called a sourdough starter. And
now we're gonna go ahead and add our background music all under this. Turn it down so we can actually hear the voiceover.
This jar is alive, and if you stop feeding it, it will die. It's called a sourdough starter, and it's made by mixing flour and water until the wild yeast inside starts to feed on the...
Okay, one more thing we're gonna do is right after this riser sound effect, something that gives it a nice little cherry on top, since the clip changes right when the riser ends, is we're gonna add a little camera click sound effect right here. So I'm just gonna go to the sound effects tab, look for camera click, and then add that, and then slightly get rid of the little gap at the beginning. That way it goes straight to the camera click sound effect. Cut off right here to end our background sound. And now this is what we have so far, and the last thing we're gonna need to do is just add our auto captions.
This jar is alive, and if you stop feeding it, it will die. It's called a sourdough starter, and it's made by mixing flour and water until the wild yeast inside starts to feed on the air, creating a living organism. And even though it just looks like a lump of paste, the yeast inside is constantly feeding on the flour and releasing gas, which makes the whole jar bubble and grow on its own until it's powerful enough to raise an entire loaf of bread that will eventually feed you.
But since we made our voiceover like this earlier, we can't really just add the auto captions onto this template because as you can see, they will kind of be scattered and out of place. And a lot of the words will actually be not caught by the AI. So a lot of words aren't going to be in the captions. As you can see, there's a ton of gaps. The reason for this is because since we overlaid our audio to get less audio gaps, it's harder for the AI to understand what it is on this template. So all we have to do to fix this is just export it how it is. And then we'll just add our auto captions from this one video on a new template. Now when we add our auto captions, since it's just this one exported clip, everything will be perfect. Now they obviously don't look pretty, so let's give it a nice font. I usually go with the Montserrat right here, boom, make it bold, go with this one. And then for the animation, we'll use bounce out. And this is the final touch.
This jar is alive, and if you stop feeding it, it will die. It's called a sourdough starter, and it's made by mixing flour and water until the wild yeast inside starts to feed on the air, creating a living organism. And even though it just looks like a lump of paste, the yeast inside is constantly feeding on the flour and releasing gas, which makes the whole jar bubble and grow on its own until it's powerful enough to raise an entire loaf of bread that will eventually feed you.
So yeah, when it comes to monetizing with TikTok, do not waste your time trying to get clips that already exist out there that are owned by somebody else to actually replicate a viral niche format. You should be taking inspiration like I did and using it to make AI versions of it. That way, all your content is completely 100% original. If you guys want to watch my entire free course breakdown going over everything you need to know from how I got to this position myself, how to grow your first TikTok page, how to make your first $1 with TikTok, everything you need to know will be inside of that free course. So I'll have that down below in the description. And if you wanted to work directly with me, I will have the link down below to Creator Labs Premium. Right now we have our 30-day challenge going on to where when you complete the challenge, you literally get a refund for your first month. But yeah, without further ado, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.